So this is just a quick run through of the 0.2.1 release of Grid Manager. So the first thing to note is that the UI has obviously just been tidied up quite a lot. The rows are now movable just by grabbing anywhere in the row which isn't an edit region. So you don't have to sort of grab the handle over here anymore, which is making life a bit easier. Columns are resizable, so you can now do plus, minus, just to change whatever column size you want, and obviously they're movable as well. And there's actually a sort of hot point, if you like, which is like in the rows, so you can actually you can grab from anywhere, so it makes it not too bad. Columns deletable as before, but now what you can do is add a column back. So if you accidentally delete something and you muck out the layout, you don't have to recreate the row, so you can just create a new column and then make it the width you want, and then off you go. Probably one of the biggest changes is that the rich text editor functionality is now done on a per click basis. Before, what would happen is if you had a massive grid with 64 columns in it, you would actually have 64 instances of the text editor running at any one point, which isn't great. So now these are not active by default, and so they require sort of double clicking on, and that will add an instance of whatever rich text editor, so CK editor or TinyMC, in, and that it'll actually stay there until you preview the page. So if I click back into this box now, you'll see it's instantly there rather than having to sort of double click into it. So if you want to do copying from one bit to another, you have to actually double click and make it a sort of editable region first, which might actually stop people making too many mistakes. What else? The view source code bit has been improved, so if I view this source, so that now just does a bootstrap modal, which just makes it a bit easier to cut and paste out if you wanted to do that. And if I click on this, you'll see that it's now destroyed all the rich text editors in this page, so I've now got to go back in and double click. One thing to note with the fluid rows, you do have to pass in a bit more configuration. So this is an example of it being fluid. I'll just pull this out. Get rid of that. So this is using Bootstrap's row fluid system, and it does work, well enough. But to do that, you actually need to go and have a look in the demo folder, and you'll see there's just a little bit of configuration which needs to pass in. Basically, the row selectors need to be a different class. This is gradually moving over to try and make it so all this stuff is you just pass classes in to do all the selection, because in order to get this working under a different CSS framework, like maybe Foundation in the future, all this stuff is going to have to be dynamic and just a matter of putting in via option. If you actually look in the main JavaScript file down the bottom, you'll see all the possible settings. Most of these you should never have to really change, or put in new ones. Obviously the remote URL you want to change, debug whether on or off is quite useful. That's, for instance, the modal setting for the view source function. There's your row column templates, the little buttons at the top, and most of this should make a bit of sense. So these are the various buttons which are going in. What else? Yeah, I think that's actually about it. Enjoy.